If I had to start today, this is what I would do. Grinders are everything. Grinders tell the story of the coffee. This grinder is not perfect. And I think something about that makes this grinder perfect for who you are and what you're trying to do. This grinder is really all that you need in your specialty coffee journey. When I first started drinking coffee, really getting interested in it, I was starting with some ground coffee and a French press. Can't remember the timeline of how long that lasted. But as I think right now and try to help, I guess, beginners and people who are just getting started out, and over the weekend, I was just thinking about all the things that I've been doing with my particular grinder. If I had to start today, this is what I would do. And this mainly pertains to coffee grinders. I will get this grinder right here. This is a K2 Kin grinder. It works really well. And, just get a basic pour over or French press, AeroPress, whatever you may want to get. I think this will last you a lot longer than all the other stuff that you will probably accumulate over time. This grinder right here is not cheap if you're first starting out. It's not. It's about $80, $70, $80. You can get it on Prime Day or a discount here and there. But if you're just getting started, this is what you're going to get. Very simple grinder. You can actually do espresso and other stuff with this grinder. You can do French press, of course. Everybody can do French press, right? Very simple grinder. The dowels and everything on it, it's kind of one of the drawbacks, but also something of benefit to you, as I will soon to explain. And this is the grinder that will last you, I would say, at least a year. Grinders are everything. Grinders tell the story of the coffee. It helps better paint the picture of what we're actually tasting, what we're actually experiencing, what we're actually doing with the coffee. It's the ultimate feedback loop that we have in this whole thing. Yes, our palates are very important. As time, they will develop. But when you start with something like this, it lets you know that you're going to probably make some really tasty coffees as you go about your whole journey, your whole life, and all that stuff. And like I said, this grinder isn't perfect. It surely isn't. This grinder has quirks. It has issues. It has faults, like we all do, right? Other grinders that are more expensive, they have the quirks and the things are fixed. But that's okay, because you don't know that. You're just starting out. You're just trying to get the grind size right, trying to see if you can taste the tasty notes on that bag. And that's what you're doing here. That's really what you're trying to focus on when you're actually trying to make coffee. It takes one of the variables out of the play, because when I started, I was using ground coffee. Ground coffee is fine. But at time, when it keeps going, you start to realize that, is that more so the coffee that I'm tasting, or is that the lack of freshness, the oatness of the coffee? But when you go to the store and you buy whole beans, and you can change different variables of the grind setting, it's really, really magical if you really think about it. Does grinding coffee on this thing get a little bit laborious? Yes, it does. I'm not going to lie to you telling you that it's going to be the greatest thing since sliced bread. It's not. Depending on the grind size, depending on the coffee, a light, medium roast, light, medium, or dark, but mainly a light roast, you're going to you're gonna get stronger with it. Whichever hand that you decide to use on this whole thing. You can do espresso on it. And if you're doing espresso on this, you probably on a different ball game altogether. But you can. It'll be difficult. You'll be grinding for a while. And if you dial it in perfectly, you're going to have an awesome shot. But this is the thing about this grinder. This grinder is not perfect. And I think something about that makes this grinder perfect for who you are and what you're trying to do. Again, I have 7 grinders. This is probably one of the ones I use the least. But it still produces really good cups of coffee. When I go back to back with my different grinders and stuff like that, this does a really good job. Are the cups a little bit muddier than the other ones? Sure. But they're there to pronounce, you know, if the coffee's tasty with the preparation that you have done. And it being imperfect will give you better understanding of what you're looking for in a particular grinder. For instance, there's no issue whatsoever with this piece up top. There's no issues at all. You know, it's easy to turn and do your thing. Okay, there's no issues there. So you're not getting really that big of a benefit when you actually get another grinder. Probably some a little bit longer, whatever. It is what it is. One of the limitations right here is actually inside of here. It can't hold as much coffee. So you can probably throw about 30 grams at most in here. And when you fill up the whole thing, you will have to stop and dump it. Other grinders have that issue too. So that's not really that unique to this particular grinder. Okay. So you'll get a bigger catch can in other grinders. Sometimes they're a little bit, they have magnetic, so you don't have to twist this and everything. But truly, really the biggest drawback of this grinder is this right here. This is how you dial in your coffee. This is how you change your grind size. I will talk more about this in another video. But at the end of the day, whatever the manufacturer gives you in order to actually grind your coffee, it's actually quite bullshit. It is. It doesn't really work as well as they say it does. There's reasons for that. But at the end of the day, this is the biggest drawback, because the reason why is because even though it has dials and numbers and all that stuff, you'll tend to forget. You'll tend to not know which grind size that you're at. There's fixes for that. But as you play around with the dial in your coffee, see what it's all about. Those are some of the benefits that you do get with other grinders. You have the dials usually at top. It's easy to read the numbers, easy to remember what you're doing. And it's a little bit more forgiving cup. It's a faster actually grind on those other grinders. You will probably get a better flavor profile of the coffee. But I think for the most part, it'll be like a subtle difference. You'll still get it there. But it's one of those things to where you're realizing that as I tell you this, is that this grinder works really, really well. French press if you want to do that. Espresso if you want to kick yourself in the pants from time to time. Pour over, drip, whatever. This is where this grinder really shines. It works really well. That's all I really have to say about this particular grinder. And if you get something like this, and you get a basic pour over, or use your drip or Mr. Coffee machine and brew your cup of coffee, you'll realize that the coffees are magical. Not all of them. You will have preferences. You will figure out what you like and what you don't like in coffee. But this won't be the limiting factor. I remember there's times before when I started to really get into this whole thing, and I wanted to get into the whole electrical grinders, which I love more than hand grinders. But the thing about it is that after a while, for some odd reason, they'll fail. This one will probably fail too. But that cost me $300. It hurt. And then I realized that it couldn't do espresso. So then I had to go out and get an espresso grinder, which is fine. You're moving along your journey. You're figuring out what you like and why you like it. But sometimes we don't want to just pay all this money for our coffee. We just want to grind our coffee, brew it, and go on with our day. This is what this does for you. This gives you a sense of being. It gives you a sense of ownership. It gives you a sense of like, wow, I can make almost anything tasty. If it is tasty. If it's not, it's not. Right? And then all the little quirks that you do get with this particular grinder, you can just write them down, pros and cons, and then you can start to explore newer or better or nuance of better grinders. And you can still use this one in the future. It doesn't go anywhere. It's still there. It still works great. If you go camping, use this. If you don't, you don't have to. This grinder is really all that you need in your specialty coffee journey. Again, I've listed reasons why the other ones are better. It's more of a nuanced thing than anything. But this will get you there. This will help you. This will help you along your journey. The Kin Grinder K2. I highly recommend this being your first grinder if you're first starting out. Again, if I was starting fresh, if I didn't know anything any better, this is what I will start with. And with the reasons why that I've given you, I think you're going to be in a good spot. So, happy brewing. Talk to you later. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you have this grinder. Let me know if you don't think this grinder is what you think it is. Whatnot. It doesn't matter. Whichever one you choose, but for the most part, you're paying for quality up front. If you get something less than, you're just going to buy something like this anyway. So, talk to you later. Bye.